Don't you just love green and blue RMCs that always duel? I thought so. That is why this review is not about Twisted Colossus. YoY is a green and blue RMC creation that almost always duels. This is the new for 2025 edition of Walibi Holland. It specifically is a set of dueling single rail coasters. The green side is the thrill side, and it features a record-breaking 6 inversions. The blue side is the chill side, but it's not really chill, it just does not invert, so it instead focuses on airtime. This review will discuss everything you need to know about this coaster, including the pre-boarding experience, the on-ride experience, and which side is ultimately better. Walibi Holland added Untamed in 2019. This was a hybrid coaster from Rocky Mountain Construction, or RMC. They took the old Robin Hood wood coaster and transformed it into arguably the top coaster in all of Europe. It is a glass smooth and fast-paced layout with intense ejector airtime and some wild inversions. The park enjoyed working with RMC so much that they went back to them for their next major coaster. In 2022, the park shared plans to add an RMC Raptor. This was originally scheduled to open in 2024. A few months later, the park pushed the project to 2025. However, this was because they were no longer adding just one coaster. They would be adding 2 coasters, specifically 2 different Raptors with entirely different layouts. And that aforementioned thrill side would have 6 inversions, the most of any single rail coaster or RMC. These would be the first RMC Raptors to open in Europe. But they were not the continent's first single rail coasters. The chain's sister park in Walibi Rhone-Alps opened Mahuka in 2024. This was an intimate hot racer widely marketed as Europe's first single rail coaster, but that was debatable for 2 reasons. 1. Hot racers technically have 2 rails. They're just fused together with one big spine. 2. There were some small, pre-existing suspended coasters that had just a single rail. Walibi Holland's new coaster will be named, drumroll please, Joy. Now this name gets a lot of hate. I think it would have been a weird name anyway, but just look how it was spelled. YoY. So many people have mistakenly been calling it YoY. Per the park, they wanted to call the ride Joy to describe the sensation you get while experiencing this coaster. They went with the double Y spelling to represent the 2 different tracks on the coaster, ultimately being part of one ride. I think they went a little too deep with that name, but it is unique, I will give them that. You're not going to mistake this with another coaster. Joy was placed in the plot adjacent to Express's Spaghetti Bowl. This was previously a backstage area, so this addition essentially expanded the park. Not only that, it finally fixed the dead end down by Goliath, as that pathway now continues down to Joy. Joy's plaza then connects back to Exotic via a hill in the woods. This pathway is extremely easy to miss if you're coming from Exotic, especially since the signage in the midway points in the completely wrong direction. The ride itself looks great once you finally reach it. The blue and green tracks both pop, and I love how both sides interact start to finish. There are countless near misses as the trains swoop over and under each other. It is a kinetic marvel, especially since it almost always duels. The only times it did not duel was as one side had a delay, whether it be a breakdown or an extended guest issue that delayed a dispatch. From what I saw, the thrill side seemed to be more prone to breaking down, but as a whole, this ride has been fairly reliable. In addition, this ride has some theming. I don't quite get it though. It seems to be tied around trees. The entrance is this giant tree that looks great. This ultimately leads to a station that's a green and blue box with tree murals on the walls. Then the inside has some planters and swirly blue statues hanging from the ceiling. The whole thing is zany, but it's pretty on brand for Walibi Holland. The queue is just a long pathway with wooden fencing. There is no theming here. Worse, there's no shade, at least for the entire thrill side. The chill side is covered very briefly when it passes underneath the station, but that's only a small fraction of the weight. You do get some great views of the coaster, but you probably want to avoid queuing for this one in the middle of a hot day due to that lack of shade. Each side has 2 trains. Each train sees a max of 8 guests, as riders sit single file, so ultimately, 16 riders experience this coaster at a time if you take both sides into consideration. That's not great, but it is better than what most other single rail coasters can do. And it does a better job hitting its theoretical capacity. This is for a few reasons. 1. You put any loose articles in lockers before you reach the platform. This means guests can go straight to their seats. 2. The moving load platform gives guests and employees a sense of urgency. They can stop each platform individually, whether it be for a guest issue or to wait for the other train so they can duel, but it wasn't too common. 3. There are just over-the-shoulder restraints and no secondary harnesses. 4. It has a single rider line. This means every seat will almost always be filled. This coaster's wait time has been below the park's other major coasters for much of the 2025 season. Per QTimes.com, the average waits have been around 20 to 30 minutes. I think the somewhat convoluted location is the main factor. You have to make a concerted effort to walk over and ride this coaster. There is nothing else over by it, so you won't just casually walk past it. The thrill side definitely seems to be the more popular of the two sides, both from long-term data and my personal experience. On my visit on a summer weekend, the thrill side was averaging a half-hour wait for most of the day. Meanwhile, the chill side was usually just a 5 to 10 minute wait. For the shortest waits, head here during the first hour. Joy's convoluted location combined with a tendency for most guests to pile on Express's queue line first thing can definitely work to your advantage. Alternatively, the wait seems to die during the final hour of the day. Another option is to use Fastlane. It is now available both on the all-day options or as a single shot. One major advantage to Fastlane is that you typically are the first ones admitted to the lockers. This means you have the best shot to get the front row, but more on that in a bit. The final option is to use the single rider line if, and this is a big if, there are not many people using it. Since this coaster is a single file train, someone is only pulled if they are missing one seat. Needless to say, this does not happen every train. From the single rider queue, you select which side you want. From what I saw, way more people use this on the thrill side. Meanwhile, there was never more than 1 or 2 people waiting for the chill side, essentially making it no more than a 5-minute wait. Another big benefit to the single rider line is that you usually get the back row. This is because you are the last ones admitted to the lockers. After leaving the locker area, you are instructed to wait in one last single file lane. When your train arrives, you fill the seats front to back sequentially. From what I saw, the staff would not allow anyone to deviate from this. If you want the back, it is pretty easy to get. You just have to linger the longest of the lockers before joining that final lane, because again, that's what dictates the seating order. The front is not nearly as easy, especially if you don't have fast lane. You sort of need to get lucky. One tip I have is not to have any loose articles. That way, you can skip the lockers and go straight to the lineup. I thought the forces were pretty similar across the train for most of the elements, but a few hills were better in the back. I more prefer this row for the views, whereas you may not see the other train if you're seated in front. You get a spectacular view of the opposing train dueling with you from the rear rows. If you have not been on a Raptor before, this seating position is a bit odd. The trains straddle a track, and there's a large hump in the center where your legs typically would go. So you have to sit with your feet on the outside, and then your knees are pointed inwards. It is not a natural position. It is fine for one ride, but you may start to feel it in your hips if you stay in this position for an extended period of time. The restraints themselves are just okay. They are overhead lap bars with shoulder straps. These are fine, especially since the straps have quite a bit of give to them, but they are definitely more restrictive than other RMCs. I would love if they could redo their lap bars to be more like the ones on Intamins. Those freeing lap bars shine in particular in a ride like Mahuka. Now, I will run through the ride experience. I will start by saying some generalities shared by both sides. Then, I will break each layout down individually. One of the biggest criticisms I had heard about YoY was that it was rough. Is it rougher than RMC's hybrid coasters? Well, yeah. That is because those coasters are glass smooth. On the Raptors, you can feel every single track joint. I wouldn't call it rough per se. In fact, I would still say these coasters are smooth as a whole. You just feel a series of tiny jolts. It is perfectly tolerable in my opinion. It's far smoother than most wood coasters, and I tried multiple seats on both sides. Fun fact, this is the shortest RMC thrill coaster by height, as it is just 95 feet or 29 meters tall, but that is sufficient for what the layout aims to achieve. That is because this coaster does a really good job with pacing. Elements are appropriately sized, so you briskly move from one element to the next, and the ride flows very nicely. The only dead spot in my opinion is towards the end of the chill side, but a majority of the layout is very enjoyable. Then most elements offer decent force at minimum. Just don't expect the thigh-crushing power of the other Raptors, or the other RMCs for that matter. There are still some spots of ejector airtime at least. It is just not otherworldly. But I think the more subdued forces were definitely intentional. You already have Untamed in the very same park. And the park's other major coasters are mighty intense too between their powerful airtime and or positive Gs. So while this coaster is still a genuine thrill ride, it is closer to a family thrill experience than a lot of the park's other major coasters. I still think this park needs a true family coaster, but that's another issue separate from YoY. Then this ride's calling card, the Dueling, is so cool. The tracks were designed brilliantly, so you're almost always alongside, over, or under the other side, so the exciting visuals carry throughout the entire ride. The final thing I'll note before going into each side is their length. Each side is just 2,149 feet, or 655 meters of track. That is not a lot of track length for a thrill coaster, but the coasters do have a satisfying length to them. Compare that to the original Raptor layouts that definitely feel a bit short. The thrill side begins by turning left out of the station. Since it's on the inside of the turn, it typically reaches the lift hill first, so you start climbing rather slowly. Once the other side catches up, you continue up the climb at a normal rate. Per usual, these Raptors have a deafeningly loud lift. Once at the top, you have a slight downward spiral, but it still manages to exert some light Gs. This gives you some momentum into the first drop, which is a barrel roll down drop. This is the first time I've seen one of these on a Raptor, but RMC has used this element a few times through the years in their hybrids. Those in the front stall out for a moment, getting some hang time at the apex, before getting inverted floater air time for the descent. Further back in the train, you are pulled on through it, so you go straight into that float. While this drop does not cross over the chill side, I do like how you rotate counterclockwise towards it to create a near miss. And there's another head chopper in the pullout as well. Next is a large speed hill that offers the thrill side's strongest airtime moment. It is solid sustained ejector for all. Then you twist right before rapidly being snapped left for the high five. This is one of the best near misses on the ride, which should be no surprise if you've ever ridden Twisted Colossus. You don't get the sideways ejector like that coaster. Rather, it is semi-sustained floater to flagector depending on the row and how fast the coaster is running. You then twist right before rotating left for a stall. Then since this element inverts over the other side, many people will naturally look up, or rather down because you're inverted. This combined with the constant banking changes makes the layout quite disorienting, and the stall offers nice hang time as well. This leads to a cutback, the entrance and exit offer some solid Gs, then the track abruptly banks more severely for an instant at the apex, leading to a quick lateral kink. Next is a 0G roll. This once again rotates over the blue side for a very fun visual, and it offers fine hang time as well. You then twist left, getting some OK Gs, and then there's a dip back down to ground level. This offers a little airtime in front, but it offers more appreciable floater in the rear row. You then have a leftward turn. This too offers okay Gs, and it seamlessly transitions into a barrel roll. While this is the one inversion separated from the other side, it thankfully offers good hang time. You then rejoin the other side while traversing a banked bunny hill to the right. It offers a small pop in the back, but it's a pretty mellow element otherwise. But that is fine, because the next barrel roll is great. You once again rotate above the chill side, while being treated to some lovely hang time. Now I saw some people criticize this layout for all the barrel rolls, but I like hang time, so I don't mind the repetition. The thrill side concludes with a leftward turn and a small dip into the brakes. This offers some laterals in the front. Meanwhile, those in back get some yank and very weak floater. You then hit the brakes and return to the station. With a lot of dueling coasters, this is where you see who won the race. But YoY never feels like a race. The dueling feels like it's more for the visuals than the competitive racing aspect. Now for the chill side. You too start with a leftward turn, and since you're usually the second train to hit the lift, you usually head up it at the max speed to rejoin the other train. Once at the top, there's another slight downward spiral with some light Gs. Then, you hit a traditional straight drop. There's a slight hump into it, so you get some okay floater in the front. But as expected, this element shines in the rear rows. You get solid sustained ejector the whole way down, and everyone gets a nice head chopper in the pullout. Next is a speed hill. This is the strongest airtime moment on either side, as it offers good sustained ejector. You then bank upwards and to the right for the high five. It is far more elongated on this side, so the forces are tamer. You do get some weak floater in the front, but you will not leave your seat in the back. Everyone gets a sweet view of the opposing side banking towards you though. The exit banks right, offering a slight lateral kink. Then, there's an off-axis camelback. It is neat seeing the green side invert above you, and the hill offers decent sustained ejector airtime as well. Then the pullout is an S-bend, so you get 2 quick lateral jolts. Then, there's a banked leftward turn. You narrowly avoid the other track, and also get some nice positive Gs. I started to gray out here. You then fly over a camelback. This offers good and semi-sustained airtime. It is floater to flagector depending on the row and time of day. The pullout is exciting as well, as you dip beneath the green side 0G roll, and the track abruptly turns left, giving some weak laterals in the back rows. Next is another banked turnaround. I thought this would be a throwaway element, but there's a hitch at the apex, so it feels sort of like a wave turn. This offers an okay to decent pop of airtime for all. Back at ground level, you have some S-bends. The last 2 turns offer some laterals. The finale is not the best in the blue side though. You have a bunny hill with no airtime. Then, you have a dip slightly down to the left, giving a smidge of laterals. The best part of this maneuver is the near miss with the green side's barrel roll. Next is a twist left. This actually has some snap to it. In the front, you get a small pop of airtime and some okay Gs. In the back, you instead get some laterals here. You then jump into the brakes, getting a little float in front. You then decelerate and return to the station, ending the experience. So what would I rate YoY? I would give this coaster an 8 out of 10. This is a good set of coasters. I like the creative layouts. The dueling aspect is simply incredible. I love all those crossovers and near misses. And both sides have pretty good pacing. The thrill side has some delightfully floaty inversions with the occasional airtime moment, whereas the chill side offers better and more plentiful airtime. I do wish it had the power of the other RMCs, but I get why the forces were dialed back based on the park's needs. If this coaster had the intensity of RMC's original Raptors, I think this likely would be my favorite single rail coaster due to the visuals and dueling. Nonetheless, I did feel great joy riding YoY. I ultimately liked both sides fairly evenly, I preferred the first 2/3 of blue, but I wish the finale were a bit better. I think green is more consistently good start to finish, which is why I give it the slight edge there, but I took more laps on the blue side because the wait tended to be shorter, especially if I utilized that single rider line. Those are my thoughts on YoY, the new for 2025 attraction at Walibi Holland. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you prefer one side or the other? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.